cover the three and we'll come back to this one again. So Dhaturuttama, or one who is the best element, or Dhatu. Dhatu means a substance which supports. The human body is, for instance, supported by the seven Dhatus: the marrow, the bone, flesh, fat, blood, lower skin and upper skin. For other objects, there are some other Dhatus. Thus, there are endless number of Dhatus. All names and forms are supported by one or the other of the Dhatus. Of these countless number of Dhatus, the Chit Dhatu, or the subtle one and the greatest, Lord Vishnu, is this Chit Dhatu, which is consciousness. And this dhatu, of course, comes in Swayambhu Shambhuraditya Pushkaraksho Mahaswanaha Anadi Nidano Dhata Vidhata Dhaturuttama. So we'll pick the next one, which is Aprameya. Aprameyo Rishikesha Padmanabho Maraprabhu Vishvakarma Manustvashta Stavishta Staviro Dhruvaha. Aprameya, or one who cannot be measured or understood. No one has seen Lord Vishnu to describe to us what he looks like. We have no way of getting any authentic information about him. Even the scriptures do not reveal him directly. What the scriptures tell us is to eliminate the world that is standing as a curtain, which is preventing us from seeing the Lord. We may get some hints of it today, so we'll keep tuned in. Rishikesha, one who is the master of the senses. Lord Vishnu is the master of senses. Rishikesha means Indriyas or senses. Rishika also means race, or that which gives joy. Rishikesha again means the Lord of race, of sun and moon. The Lord gives joy to the world, taking the form of sun and moon. Very interesting. Okay, so we're going to cover some of all those concepts and tie it together as we come to appreciate maybe all the three names, but we will keep it hemmed around Dhaturuttama, or one who is the best of element. Yes, we went through that, but now Dhatu is best of elements is what we say, but what are the dhatus, or the elements in us? We saw in that list, but I'll just go through what I was able to harvest from the internet and start getting a deeper appreciation. It's cited as lymph, or rasa as it's called, blood or rakta, muscle or mamsa, fat or meda, bone or asti, and nerves, which is cited as majja, and it's also recognized as reproductive organs, or shukra. Now, by uttama, right? Dhatu uttama. So if these were dhatu, now by uttama, it is can be cited, or the word uttama can be translated or meaned as the best, or the quintessential, or the core of things. It is that entity that infuses in all, like the core, that entity that infuses in all, like the atomic nuclei of the physical world and the genes or chromes of the biological world. The study of this world, or nature, and its distillation, like this whole world as we have experienced through our senses, when you distill it and when try to go a little deeper, is what through this distillation process of wanting to know, is where you derive these seven dhatus. Now, how can one conceive and come to terms with that this Lord, the pure Achyuta, the non-dual consciousness, can account for the solid, the liquid, the gases and other entities, and even the events of the physical world? It sure appears a very dogmatic proposal, right? It's saying like, hey, God is there in everything. It seems very dogmatic. Like, how can you say that God's there? So it, however, I think to appreciate that better, we should, however, not, as we into the modern world, it, however, should not be so difficult to us modern minds who have been taught by science that an intangible solar energy from the sun becomes tangible food into the crops that yield us fashionable clothing, into sources of energy in coal and oil of our outer nature, right? So this energy of sun, I think in one of the other earlier conversations, we talked about how sun is treated in a National Geographic magazine as the very element of all life on this planet, where it goes on to articulate each thing. But we'll come to a kind of shlokaness of National Geographic as we keep going further through our religions, but that's where we recognize how sun influences everything around this planet. So, such a single sun energy has promoted such differentiated universe and can be argued as the intangible behind all things tangible. Yeah, so solar energy, we're not very tangible. You don't touch and feel it. You know it's there, but you don't touch and feel it. But now all these elements that has come into manifestation, into tangibles, is where that one energy behind everything. Similar to is the genetic dictation of differentiated human world, where that one force of gene or chromosome, where a change in one count of it will move a human to a different spectrum of humanity altogether, right? The 36 chromosome, you change one number, suddenly you see the characteristics of the human changes and you totally go into a different spectrum of humanity. So, in the study of the Hindu belief, the Vedantic one, with its deep vision, came out to vouch to humanity that the inner nature and outer nature are but one. So it went deeper and came to this conclusion. And it not only said, I came to the conclusion, it says, I have recognized this, that it is all one, right? The God seems to be permeating everywhere. It is all one. And it not only says that, it says, like me, who started questioning things and probe deep to find this answer, it says, you too are qualified. You have clear permissions to go and realize this yourself as well. Now, what is this, right? We say we can realize this. That nature inside, what is this culmination, right? So what is this is that the nature inside and the nature outside, though looks differentiated in its essence, is just one. That one is the state of pure consciousness, infinite, right? Which is what we say pure consciousness. I think in the words we might have heard in many of the prayers is Achyuta, untouched, pure consciousness. Then it of course is also infinite or ananta, and of course it's also non-dual, which is it is not differentiated. It's pure. We saw energy come into differentiated in the nuclear physical world in some of our conversation, but all that is nothing but that God or Brahman is the word that we might have put into that single source of energy of pure consciousness and infinite existence of it. So in our previous study of Dhata and Vidata too, we acquired the appreciation to the inner nature and its lower and higher exaltations. Further, we also recognized how through such exaltations, the God's design of Dharma Samsthapanartharam Sambhavami Yuge. That's what we studied. That was God's design, where He modulates or allows us to modulate the exaltation of our nature from the lower to the higher. Our Dharma gets to dominate the world stage with the modulation of that inner nature. So here we are saying, oh, God existed in us, and it's some kind of a nature is how our nature, right? It's by his nature to do such a job. So through that nature is where it existed in our psyche, and we have been given the tool to modulate it, to move from a lower state to the higher state, and how such modulation helps in the God's design of Dharma Samsthapanartharam is how we argued last time, or tabled that thought. Now here we are saying that, okay, life outside and life inside is all but one, is what Vedanta's claim is. And that one is this consciousness that is pervading through everything. Now here, as Dhaturuttama, if nature outside and nature inside is but that one unity, we could argue, does a change in one, right, inner and outer, does a change in one show up as a change in the other? That is, if humanity's lower nature exalts to its higher state, then the proof of such unity between nature outside and nature inside can have a degree of acceptance if nature outside too becomes influenced with a change in nature inside. Right? We could argue, like, if it's all together, how can you? The only way I will accept it is if I change, your nature should change outside. So let's appreciate this in the context of the very place where Vishnu Sahasranama is introduced to us, which is again Bhishma and Yudhishthira conversation. And I will read this one of the Mahabharata book itself. Of course, I've extracted from there. So, righteousness is prevalent during Krita Yuga. This is Bhishma responding. Unrighteousness does not even exist then. The earth yields crop without even waiting to be tilled. Herbs and plants grow luxuriantly and in abundance. Diseases are not found at all in human lives. The seasons are all a delight. So this is Bhishma responding. And here we recognize that even without tilling, crops will grow. All the things that you need as herbs and the thing that you want to enjoy your food, things that you want to put into your food to make it more tasteful, everything is there in abundance for everyone to consume and have. And no one will ever find a disease that someone in the family is trying to endure and overcome. So that human pain is totally eliminated. But all those he puts it under Krita Yuga, which is what we see on the right image, which we again extracted from, I think, the 91 name, which was I missed the name, but essentially talks about different yugas that's going to Vishnu pervades over. So here, yugas, of course, it's taken as about, I recall it to be 4 million years is the total life of the universe. And each one goes into 1 times Kali Yuga, 2 times that slice is that. So it's put in 4 quarters, each one being twice the size of the other, or 1 times more than the other. So that's how the multiplication goes. And the Krita Yuga, which is the highest enduring time, is where the morality is higher, and such is the thing. So a change we saw in the previous conversation of exaltation of your inner nature and how dharma samsthapanartharam and dharma gets established. But now this dharma also trying to pervade into the outer nature through how that part of nature too that responds back, that even without your effort, things begin to reverberate, which is in nature, we are all interconnected. And we see one of the Bhagavad Gita shloka as well, which is what we will cover in this moment. And I will read once and we'll do two again by pausing, which many of you again may know. And that fabric of conscious nature, right? The fabric is how things are woven together. What we get as a cloth, piece of cloth or a fabric where everything is woven together, and how we are interconnected is where this shloka in Bhagavad Gita, I think chapter 4, shloka 24, that's what this is. So it goes as I'll do on my own, and we'll break it up into smaller and try to bring to your lips in your capacity. Loud enough or as a whisper, whatever is comfort for you. I'll do it once and we'll do it again together. Om Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi Brahmajno Brahmanahutam Brahmai Nagantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So I'm not going word by word translation, but in essence, it's saying all things have come forth from Brahman, that consciousness. All things that exist is in Brahman, and all things will merge back into that Brahman. So we have recognized the interconnectedness of the nature, where everything is pervaded through this consciousness of Brahman. And there is another shloka too that says, where again the Bhagavad Gita shloka that says, Sutre Maniganaiva, I exist like a thread that goes through the beads that form a garland. So I permeate everything, is where the assurance is given. So